Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Lenard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Diane Knepper, a powerhouse in the real estate world. As the broker and owner of Knepper Home Team, Diane has dedicated her career to guiding clients through one of the most significant journeys of their lives, home ownership. From her deep market insights to her passion for empowering clients, Diane's expertise sets her apart. With years of experience and an unshakable commitment to excellence, she's here to share her story, her wisdom, and the trends shaping our industry. Let's dive in and learn from one of the best. Diane, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So let's start with obvious question. What first sparked your interest in real estate, and how did it evolve into your journey as a broker and owner?
So actually, it's kind of funny that my best friend was working on getting her real estate license, and she didn't want to do it by herself. So she talked me into taking the classes so I could go get my license. And she didn't ever end up getting hers, but I got mine. And then I decided, well, I've taken the classes to be a real estate agent. What do I need to do to be a broker? So that was a pretty much right away thing for me. Like, okay, I've got my license now. What's next? I want to keep going. And obviously, part of that is more education, right? But part of it is also getting the experience that you need to get along the way. But I don't think I ever really wanted to be just an agent. I'm always looking for what's next. How do I grow next? Where's my next thing?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, probably she regrets not getting her license at this point.
Oh, we talk about it all the time. She's been my best friend for like 19 years.
I'm
always teasing her about it.
Look at my life. I'm pretty cool. I can, I have the freedom of moving around and meeting all these awesome people and selling houses to them and getting what they want, and making my life fulfilled with that. And that's awesome. Was there a single moment when you realized this career was more than just a job?
Well, I came into real estate from a hospitality background. So I worked in big box hotels, in convention services and event management. And I always got to be a part of those experiences for people that they're pretty meaningful. When you're getting married, or you're having your mom's 60th birthday party, or whatever that might be, to having people be up on a stage giving a keynote for the first time, and you help them set up that whole thing. So for me, it was an easy transition into doing the real estate because it is so relationship based and it's all about people. But then you get to help them in a different way that's a lot more impactful than just one event, right? I mean, that affects them for the rest of their life when you've helped them reach their goal and you're giving them the keys. It's much more meaningful than just that one day. So for me, the first time I got to hand somebody a set of keys, I'm like, oh, I'm all in. This is what I want to do forever.
Oh my God, that's awesome. It's a great feeling. I could attest to it sometimes, especially how grateful they are at that point, because they're really mean, like right before you give them those keys, like by the up to the time of the closing table, and then the closing table, everything like a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people really mean like, oh, yeah, you can't get this done. No, da, da, da. They're all panic mode and all that. And then when you get to that point and you're like, here are your keys. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I can't believe we've done it. That
Well,
feeling.
I mean, when you think about it, we help people with literally one of the top 10 most stressful and yet most exciting things they're ever going to do in their life,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Literally the biggest purchase they're ever going to make, and it's their home. So it is a very stressful thing, and they need somebody who can expertly guide them through all of those stressful things along the way to get them to that big smile where they get the keys and they know it's theirs. So
Don't you think that us as realtors should have a mandatory NAR training on psychology sometimes?
I do. But interestingly enough, so I told you I had come from a hospitality background, right?
Yeah.
But I actually have a degree in child development.
Wow.
And you would be surprised how much that plays in, because how your mind works and how it develops along the way through a process makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm sure that. Tell me a little bit about it. Like, I'm interested. What's like a major point where what you can point out and not, breaking privilege or anything that you see that education helped you? Or I know, we talk about disc profiles and stuff like that. That's probably part of that education, but tell me a little bit more, like a special incident that you or
Well, one of the things that you have to remember when you're dealing with children, and also when you're dealing with people in their events, you got to look, even if on the inside you're not, you're like, holy crap, the cake just went to a hotel 5 miles away, and the bride's going to be wanting to see the cake and everything set up in 10 minutes. What do I do? Right? But you can't be the one who's sweating. And just like when you're watching a toddler run across the floor, right? And all of a sudden, boom, they're down face first. If you react and you're like, oh my God, then of course they're going to, oh, something's wrong. I'm going to cry, right? But if you're like, hey, you're okay. Let's get up. Let's check you out. What's going on here makes a big difference. And yesterday was inspection day at one of our homes, right?
yeah,
And of course, the client was present for this inspection, and something gets pointed out during the inspection, as often does. And immediately you could see the look on the client's face. There's like panic. And I'm like, hey, don't worry. We're going to get a written report. We're going to get these things addressed. And we got this. We'll take care of it. This is a minor thing compared to some inspections, and we're good. We got this.
that's a really good
It
example.
it makes it makes a big difference, right?
It does. Somebody being there to calm and the anchor the process.
Yeah. Because
I,
if you as the real estate agent are all of a sudden like, oh my God, the toilet's leaking under the house, and you're freaking out, well then, yeah, your client's going to freak out. They're going to get scared. It's a major purchase. Oh my God, what else is wrong? It just spirals from there. But if you can just take that moment and say, hey, there are processes in place for this. Let's just see what we can get accomplished, and we'll take care of it. Then it's not the big, bad, scary thing that it could have been, right?
yeah. So I'm going to ask you to go back a little bit, far back, like beginning of your
Okay.
career, okay? And a specific challenge that you faced in the early times of your career, and how did that shape and form your approach to real estate? Challenge from the beginning. I know you've been a broker agent for a long, long time, so this could be a little bit like, oh, let's think about one.
I actually think for me, the biggest challenge was, you take your real estate courses and you take your exam, but when you're getting going in business, it's very different than what you're reading in the book or what you're answering the questions about, right?
Yeah.
So I did not necessarily have somebody to mentor me that was hands-on. So I had to figure out a lot of things on my own. So, in California, we have the California Association of Realtors, and they have a number that you can call if you have questions. And I had that thing on speed dial. I'm pretty sure most of those people knew me like just by my voice, right? So that was my biggest challenge, is trying to get my business off the ground and get going without having somebody to mentor me. And now I'm very much a person that, I mean, I own my own brokerage now, but even at the office that I was at previously, I would meet once a week with other agents, and we would sit down and, okay, what questions do we all have? Because somebody in that office is going to have come across the weirdest thing you've ever heard of, and you've got something weird that you can draw from experience about, right?
Yeah.
I'm much more, but I've always been a relationship person anyway, but I'm much more interactive with people. And it doesn't matter if you're in my office or you're working with me, or if you're in another office and you have that question. I want to collaborate. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it, is working together. It's, yes, to a certain extent, we might be each other's competition, but we're in the same field and we have the same goal, and that's to serve our clients to the best of our ability. So if we can help each other to be better and grow, then that's serving everybody.
So coming from your experience, basically a recap, not enough mentorship made you a person that would love to mentor and give back and work together with other people so you can
Yeah.
get the information.
Having that
Yeah.
lack of it made
Yeah.
me be somebody who
Wanted to do, yeah.
outreaches and wants to have that working together, that collaboration.
So that's awesome. How do you adapt to ever-changing market trends to stay ahead of the game? For in today's market, it's like crazy. Like we had so many things happen this year in real estate, between the NAR lawsuit and then elections and high interest rates and all that stuff coming. And for you in California, you have a lot of like people moving away from there and stuff like that, or at least to my knowledge in Florida. So tell me, how do you adapt to the ever changing market? What's your like go to figure it out? And then,
Well, I think part of that is leaning into each other, right? So I'm very active in my community as a whole. I'm currently the past president and interim vice president of the Twain Harte Area Chamber of Commerce. So I'm very active that way. So I'm watching what's going on business wise within the community because of that, but also I'm an active broker and I'm staying on top of what NAR is saying and what CAR is saying going on. And talking to other real estate agents. Hey, I am noticing this. Are you noticing that too? Or what's your take on it? A lot of reading, a lot of research helps you know exactly what you need to be watching for, because other people are seeing that trend too.
yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you on that. What's one key strategy you practice that has been a game changer in helping your clients achieve their homeownership dreams?
So my husband and I are business partners, right? He got his real estate license 3 weeks after I got mine. And I mean, you should feel sorry for that. I see that smile on your face. Like, you should feel sorry for the man. He works with me, he lives with me, and I am often a hit and run kind of a girl when it comes to him.
Hey, look,
He
as
may,
we
he may
just
not know what hit him a few minutes ago. But
whoa, uh,
yeah,
I
but
mean, we talked about it before too. I'm on the same. We're in the same boat. So
yeah, that teamwork together, every day we're sitting down, we're talking about what's new on the market, what just went pending, what are we noticing as far as numbers go. And we just had conversation this morning about, hey, earlier this year we were seeing this trend, now we're seeing this, and look at how much more is pending in the third quarter, which is not necessarily common because the third quarter has the holidays and everything in it, right? And just since the election, in fact, the day after at 9 a.m., the phone started ringing after a slow month or two in the market in our area. It's picked up quite a bit, and you're seeing interaction again. And I don't think that's necessarily because one person won and the other one didn't, although it could be. But I think just the unknown in general affects people and makes them hesitant when they don't know what's coming. Then there's, hey, I might not be okay if I do this. There's the fear factor there, I
Oh,
think.
for sure. Uncertainty kills deals all the time. Even in my area, I can attest to that. When there's uncertainty in the air, election years, every single election, doesn't matter what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Nobody calls you until that election day hits, and then they figure out who wins, and then the next day the phone's pretty much ring. Same thing in my area. We're talking about the last quarter here of this year. Of the
Yeah. I'm not sure I entirely answered that question, I guess.
I mean, you said
It's worked well as a strategy for us to be constantly monitoring
market.
what's going on as partners, because his eyes are going to be maybe a little bit more focused on one thing than mine would be, right? That's
Yeah, we're more logical. Look at different things. I always look at the
yeah.
stats, and my wife looks at how pretty they are and which one's prettier and stuff like that. So when we're looking at properties together, we're looking at the same properties. I find the stats on the property, and she finds out, well, this is under contract because look, they redid the bathroom and they redid this and they da da da. And I'm like, yeah, and look at this too. Facts as in it's larger than that one. And that's probably a reason why as well. So we definitely, help each other in that, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Or
He is
similar.
very much a numbers and stats kind of a guy.
Yeah,
And it's funny that you would say that, because it's not that I don't care about the numbers and stats, and I pay attention to them, but also I'm looking at two different homes and going, well, this one has more curb appeal. So they may have gone on the market like a day apart from each other, but everything else is similar except for what's been done to them. And that one looks nicer. It's got more curb appeal, or it's got more upgrades or whatever. And he's like, well, yeah, but this one might have potential in this way. And then there's the discussion about, there's a lot of things that you can change about a home, right?
yeah.
But you cannot change its location, and location factors in to a lot of things when it comes to a home.
I know we chew this bone off so many times, but location, location, location. That's just a key in our business. And one guy's asking, I have these questions all the time from salesmen. That house sold over there for 100,000 more than what you want to list my house for, and we're the same size. I said, yeah, but that's over there. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Because now he's in a gated community with a community, a clubhouse and a pool and whatever, and you are outside that gated community, sitting in a different subdivision, so you have different schools. They have different schools than you do. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into how to price them.
Yeah,
A lot of people.
absolutely. Well, I mean, here in our area, we're in the foothills of the Sierras. They call them foothills for a reason. They're not flat. And just a driveway. I mean, you can have two homes relatively similar in age, similar square footage. Somebody's done some really nice upgrades on them, right? They're both cute homes. But boy, do you want to drive up that super steep driveway, especially if there's snow on the ground? No. So that one's still going to go for probably less money than the one that has a better driveway and parking area, or it's got a nice pass-through driveway, or, things that people don't think about. So when you're talking to them about listing their home, they're like, well, why did this one go for so much? And you're saying, this is how much mine's worth. Well, location makes a difference.
Yeah.
Driveway makes a difference. There a lot of little things go into it.
That's cool. I mean, heated driveways, et cetera, et cetera. Your area is pretty cool. I like it. I like mountains. I always did. We always take at least one trip to mountains every year because we're pretty flat here in Florida. If Florida would have mountains, it would be Mecca for me, but it doesn't. But in our area, it's pools, doesn't have a pool or doesn't have a pool. That's the
Yeah.
big thing,
Yeah.
in Florida.
It makes a
Like,
difference, right?
pool
Yeah.
home is it could be somewhere between a 30 and $100,000 difference, depending on the type of pool and the location. But yes, that's a big difference in price. So it's like I'm guessing driveways in your area, which you wouldn't think that it's such a big deal, but I guess if it's snowing and icy, I could see that being a nuisance
Snowy and
trying to get
icy and
your
it's a steep
yeah,
driveway. How are you
yeah,
going to plow that driveway? Are you
yeah.
going to be able to get your car up the driveway, right?
How
But
much does
then
it
you have homes that, like, for example, in Twain Harte, there were originally 800 homes that had the ability to have a lake membership at Twain Harte Lake.
nice.
And then there are a lot of homes that don't have that. It's a big plus to have the lake membership. So homes that have an active lake membership at the lake literally can go for as much as $40 more a square foot than a home that is similar in every other way but doesn't have that membership.
Wow.
It's very interesting to watch what affects what a home goes for and the price difference that it makes.
There comes in the statistics guy is like, hey,
Yeah.
look at this difference in price, and why is the square foot difference? And then you do your research and like, this one has a lake membership, that one doesn't. That's why there's a big difference in price.
Yep.
This is great for new agents. I'm sure in your area too. Watch the videos, like, hey, this is how she does it. Like, you could analyze properties, compare them, and you go with this knowledge to your sellers or buyers, and you are ahead of the game, my friend, because knowledge is power in a lot of instances, and
Yeah.
you'll have, how do you call this? You'll have control over the market in a way, mental control that way. So as a leader in your field, how do you balance managing a brokerage and maintaining client relationships?
My clients end up becoming my friend and an extended family. So I'm spending time with them on a regular basis. And they all know that, like, I have a grandson who's going to be 4 on Christmas Day. Some of them may have even had him, in fact, I know one of them did have him take his very first steps at their home inspection because the kid's babysitter ended up being sick, and so there's a delicate balance there, right? But also, I'm vice president of the Twain Harte Area Chamber of Commerce right now. I'm past president as well, and many of the people on the board are actually members of the chamber now and board members now because they were my past clients. So I balance it, I guess, by treating them like their family. So I don't want to show you a home or sell you a home that I don't think you're going to absolutely love, because I intend to keep you as part of my friend family. And 5 years from now, I don't want you to ask me, what the hell were you thinking when you let me buy this home, right? I want you to still be happy with it and happy to see me all the time, because probably next week we're going to go have a glass of wine together or have a cup of coffee or whatever.
That is awesome. I like that approach. Building client relationships as long lasting friendships is great. If you live in a town like you live in, that's very doable.
It
I
is,
think,
it is.
because you guys all know each other. It's a small town, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
What's
we
the
do
sing?
end up
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
we do end up seeing each other at the grocery store, seeing each other when we're out to dinner. Um, you just get to know people really well. And so I'm always taking my attitude about it is I don't need to sell you a home. I'm not a hard sell person. If you like the home, it's going to sell itself to you. My job is how to help you get into that home that you love.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do, and I want you to be there and be happy for a while because I am going to bump into you in Sonora at Safeway or Walmart or PetSmart or whatever, and I don't want you to see me coming and go, "Oh, what the heck was she thinking? I wish I'd never done that." Yeah, don't duck down the other aisle. I want you to be happy to see me because I, in fact, we just spent Thanksgiving at the home of somebody that we sold their retirement home, their forever home to, and there's almost not a day that goes by that I don't talk to them.
That's awesome.
That's really important to me. So I guess that's what I've come to love so much about what I do, that it is so relational and that these people are so close to me. We have a client that they were pregnant with their first baby when they closed escrow on their home. And in February this year, we had that baby for a couple of nights while they were in the hospital having the second baby.
That's cool.
That's just,
The trust is awesome.
yeah.
You know,
But you have to. You have to be
yeah,
able to trust each other. It's the biggest purchase you're going to make, right? So you need to make it with somebody that you know you can trust.
it's awesome. So, deferring a little bit off this track and going towards, say, agents, what's a single most valuable piece of advice you'd offer to a new agent entering into the real estate world this time and age where we are right now?
I would say if you're a new agent, remember that you're interviewing the broker that you are going to work with, not the other way around. And find somebody that you feel really good about learning from that's going to be involved with you and help mentor you along the way.
That's great advice. I think that is awesome. My first advice was, hey, go to Keller Williams because they have good training, which is pretty much the same thing as you said. But and I had a great broker. I hands off. I couldn't last with them because in Miami you have 65,000 agents. I did 10 rental deals my first year. Split was 50-50 plus 6% franchise fee. So I only made like 44% on each deal. And I was like, God, I make more bartending than I am with this. Feels like it's a lot more work.
So
At that point,
I think that's a good point though, because even if you are with one of those larger brokerages, right, whether it's a
Yeah.
Keller Williams or a Berkshire Hathaway or whatever, within those organizations, there's still a difference with what broker you're under.
Oh yeah,
So,
major.
and it's a big difference, right? So I would say make sure that you talk to more than, if you're a new agent, make sure you talk to more than one broker and that you feel good about who you're going to be working with. The culture in the office is a big deal. And I mean, for me, it's important that the people that I'm working with, that I feel like they're family around too, because let's face it, you spend a lot of time in the office with people. You don't want to go in there and feel like there's tension between you and other people in the office, right? So the culture and how that's supported, how people treat each other, and who that broker is then makes a big difference.
Yeah. And I would like to add that money's not everything in this game. That knowledge and that leadership that you would get with a good broker could mean
Mhm.
the world from you doing one deal to you doing three deals, which then the
Yeah.
money factor is totally different because you got experience, knowledge, and and money after doing those extra transactions. And if you have somebody holding your hand
Absolutely.
and you're not losing deals through the process or clients, that's a big, big
Yeah.
thing. And then, of course, once you have experience under your belt, you can always renegotiate your,
Exactly.
your splits,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
so, or the broker will offer it automatically. It's like, hey, I've seen that you have grown. It
Yeah.
looks like, you can handle a lot more on your own now. What do you say if I give you a raise and you change the splits a little bit,
Yeah.
And I know that happens too.
Yeah.
If you see someone talented, I'm sure you go up to them. It's like, look, I don't you don't need that much hand holding anymore. We could do a little different numbers. How about you
Yeah.
take on some classes and teach some things to
Yeah.
other agents now,
Yeah.
utilize that
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the dynamic is interesting in offices that don't really take control of the culture and set the standard, right?
Yeah,
Because you might have 23 agents in one office under a broker, right?
yeah.
But and each of them is an independent contractor. So they're each running their own business. So like I said, to a certain extent, you're in competition, but you also can support each other and help each other, and that makes a difference. And that makes a brokerage that somebody wants to stay at long term and work their butt off for versus, "Oh, I don't want to have to go into the office. It's always, you know, tension or whatever."
Weird.
So,
In personal experience, when I started getting better and better and better, I stopped going into the office, not because I felt weird. It's just because I was so busy that when I went to the office, all it was questions from everybody. I'm sorry to say this. I deal with it, X amount of times a year. I'll go and I'll show face and I'll answer all the questions happily when I know that I can do it. But when you're there trying to work, and all people are is like, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? How do I'm like, okay, guys, I think we have a broker for that. I'm not the broker. Go ahead, broker.
I think too, though, there's that I'm sorry, I have a 14-year-old dog and he's all of a sudden decided to bark at who knows what.
Didn't hear.
Um, there is the idea that successful agents don't spend a lot of time at the office anyway,
Yeah,
right? So if you're somebody who is talking to a broker that you're potentially going to work with and they're putting forth the key point that, oh, well, you'll get lots of floor time here, you should be able to be out in the field and be active and do better that way than you ever would sitting in the office hoping somebody's going to walk in or that the office phone is going to ring and you'll happen to be the one they give that call to.
that's great advice.
You need to be more like get out there and get it.
If I would have known that at the beginning of my career, I wouldn't have sat in an office waiting for the call to come. I had that in my second brokerage, floor time. I was sitting in there 4 times a week for 5 hours because you need to fill the office. Somebody has to sit in, and they put you on the schedule because you're a new agent. And you're sitting there, and you're like, "What am I going to do here for 5 hours?" And you're like on your laptop, and you're typing and doing some internet marketing stuff for yourself. But I think I've got one person. It was a rental, and it didn't even close because he wouldn't qualify for the rental in about a 6 month period. You
Yeah,
are
it's not
totally right about this floor time thing. It's like,
the floor time thing is not how you're going to make it happen.
yeah,
So if I'm in an office, it's because I have paperwork to do and I really don't want somebody to bother me while I'm doing it. But I will make time available even before I got my broker's license, once a week. Hey, let's get together. Let's chat about, what's challenging you right now. Maybe I can help. Maybe something's challenging me and you have some insight to it. Or I have a thing about giving little goodies to my clients. I do it at least once a month. There's something that I'm putting together for them. And hey, I'm going to be here because I need the big conference table or whatever to put these things together. If you would like to come and do this too, then
We could talk.
yeah, here's what you need. We can talk while we're all doing it together, and then let's go
That's great
separate
way
ways.
to give your time something, and they'll help you with your little project, and you give them your
Yeah,
time for that. It's like, you guys can ask me whatever you want while we're packing up these things. How
yeah. Or
valuable
if
is
I have a
that?
mailer that's going out, hey, if you want to do a mailer too, bring your mailer. We'll all fold and stuff envelopes together, and we can talk while we're doing that.
That's great. I like
That
that.
can
That's
be,
building great culture, by the way. I love it.
yeah,
Like, hey, this is what we should be doing to grow your business. Why don't we do it together at the same table, and we can chat about business while we're doing it?
yeah,
It's a great way of giving your knowledge back and also motivating the guys and girls to do what they need to do for their business. That's
yeah.
great. Yeah. So, on another note, on first time home buyers, what's one critical step that they should take before starting their journey
Well, before starting their journey,
in
as
purchasing a
far
home?
as what? Like you should never look at homes that you don't already know you can afford. So you should probably talk to a lender, but you can reach out to a real estate agent and ask if they have lenders they can provide, information, contact information for. Every single one of us should have a handful of them that they
Oh,
can, you know, and then again, as a first time home buyer, you don't need to talk to just one lender. Talk to a couple of them. I mean, yes, they have a lot of the same type of programs, right? But this is a big purchase for you. It's the biggest one you're ever going to make. So you need to have a personality that you feel comfortable with. So if they're offering similar programs and a similar interest rate, you should have at least talked to more than one so that you feel good about who you're working with. You need to surround yourself with the best people so you can reach your goal.
that is great. I mean, think about it, people. If you have the biggest purchase of your life, if you find a great realtor, you find a great lender, and you feel comfortable with everybody, it just makes such a difference in your journey going towards the closing. It is when people are on top of their stuff and they know what they're doing, it's just so much more relaxed, not relaxing, less stressful
Yeah,
to close a
your
deal.
support system matters.
Yeah, yeah,
Your support system matters. So you need to put the best support system that you can in place.
for sure. So, what trends or shifts do you see shaping the future of real estate, and how are you positioning your business to thrive these shifts?
So, I mean, I think we can all see whether you're in real estate or not, that if you're purchasing a home, it tends to have been more like my kids are 30s buying a home, and that seems to be getting a little older. It was younger when I was the one looking for my first home, right? I bought mine in my early 20s. Um, so that shift has changed, but then also you're looking at baby boomers getting to the point where they're going to be selling. They're retiring. Some of them are needing long-term care now. That's going to be a major shift. And those two groups, millennials and boomers, are really what's going to be coming and hitting the market. I mean, a lot of millennials are going to be buying their very first home, but they're doing it a little later than you did when I was purchasing my first home. So that's definitely a major shift, right? Um, for me in this market, it's a lot of second homes. Um, and so that makes a difference. At what age can you afford a second home? Has this been your family's second home for many, many years? And now it's time to sell it. What does that look like? And how does that affect the first time home buyers in our area? because if you're coming from out of area and buying a second home, you're competing then with people that are already established and you're trying to get your first home. So it makes it that much more important that you have somebody that's been helping you, like, hey, have you been watching your credit score? Have you talked to a lender? Do you know what you can afford? All of those things along the way make a big difference. But that's the impact that the millennials and the boomers are going to have on the market as they're buying and selling is really going to be interesting to watch, and it's kind of what I'm looking for right now.
I like that too. I hope so. I hope it's coming soon. I'm a millennial. I got my first rental property when I was 30, and we got our first house 32. Our home we live right now. It was a journey to get here because you gotta have a lot more experience, money, and income to buy a house in today's market than you
Yeah.
did 5 years ago, nonetheless 10, 15, 20 years ago. Like inflation is getting us in every aspect, real estate as well.
Well, yeah, when you think about it, I mean, this is really going to date me and make me sound bad, but I was my early 20s when I bought my first home. It was a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,250 square feet with a 2 car garage, and it was 97.5, and I put 30,000 down on it.
So you own a third of the house already, like off the bat.
So when you're talking about that, and now the way things have changed over the years, you have to have a dual income to buy a home. They have to both be fairly decent, and you need to not necessarily have the huge chunk of a down payment, right? Because some people can get into a home with as little as 3 to 5% down. But then you have to be aware of what impact that has on your payment too, and having your PMI attached to that because you had such the low down payment. And it's important um, to have the right people walking you through that and know that they have your best interests at heart,
Yeah.
not that they're just needing to close really badly.
I mean, commission breath.
Yeah, that.
I think that you surpass that after you have some deals under your belt, and you're like, okay, now I'm confident. I don't, I'm not like hungry for that. New agents, you can definitely feel commission breath on new agents. So my recommendations to new agents: take an experienced agent with you that doesn't have commission breath, that can lead you through
Yeah.
the process, through the whole thing, and can show you that it's not all about the money. It's more about them being happy, because if they're happy, they'll recommend other people to you. And that's what's going to be your business down the line. That's going to build
That
your,
is exactly
you
what's
know,
going to be your business
yeah,
down the line.
5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
I've been up in this area for 6 years now with my wife, and we've been in real estate for 6 years up in this area where we are. Been in real estate for like 9 years now, but six up here. And now I'm starting to feel like this year I didn't even have one closing from my marketing, which is insane. I pay a lot of money for marketing. All of my closings were from past clients or referrals from past clients, and we still did manage to do almost $8 million this year.
Yeah, they control how my business grows, and I want it that way
Yeah,
because it compels you and I to overserve somebody because we know that's what's going to make them say, "Hey, I've got this great person and you need to work with them." And they'll send friends and family, and when they're ready to buy a bigger home or a rental property, or years down the road when they're ready to downsize, who are they going to call? Yeah.
Ghostbusters. No, just
Yes.
kidding.
Uh-huh. Yep.
They'll call us. They'll call
Sure.
you as the professional that did them good and
Yeah.
caused them a lot of joy. Last question, and I know you're going to be heading out soon. Um, if you could redefine an aspect of the real estate industry to make it a better for clients or agents, what would it be and why?
That's a really good question. I think that I think that it would be that more agents did interact with each other rather than look at each other as competition. But the reason for that is because I think we could all learn from each other. For example, I showed a home 2 weeks ago to a couple that was referred to me by someone else, and they didn't have a signed buyer's agreement with the agent they had previously been looking with because it was a friend. And I was very clear that because of the NAR settlement and the new requirements, and also because in California, as of January 1st, it's going to be law,
Wow.
that you have that buyer's agreement. So I made sure that I explained to them what the settlement was, how it affected buyers and sellers, and made it very clear in what the buyer's agreement was and how that worked and how agents get paid. And we had a very long conversation about it. And they flat out told me, we've never heard this before.
They were looking
We've
at
looked
houses.
at
Wow.
homes with more than one agent and we've never heard this before. And I feel like if agents were being less competitive with each other and more understanding of communicating, that we could really help each other and raise the bar professionally, because we would all then be doing the things that we need to be doing.
I mean, raising the bar is definitely on my list of things because we got bad rep. I don't like bad rep. I mean, this is the thing. Like you and I are, exclusive agents in many ways, and we help our communities and we give back and we give good service. We have these guys and girls that just don't care and they're just hungry for, their check or whatever. And it just gives bad rep for us. And I think that your solution to, have conversations and, hey guys, why don't we figure this out and just do what we have to do and serve our people the right way? Because that's what we're a service industry, for
Yeah.
God's sakes.
Yeah,
We're supposed to
exactly.
be serving people. That's what we do.
But don't you think also part of that bad rap is um, because we haven't always clearly, when I say we, I mean many people in the industry, not myself, but
Yeah.
um, haven't had that conversation about how agents get paid, whether you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent. And so there is a perception that we don't do very little, or that we do very little and we get paid a lot of money. But you touched on that earlier when we were talking about being new agents. If you go somewhere and you're as a new agent, you have to hang your license under a broker in order to do business. And that broker is going to take a split. So now you've gone from a certain amount of money to, let's be conservative and say 20% the broker just took off of that, right?
Yeah.
But then you also have, if you're with one of those larger companies, a franchise fee. Well, that had to come off the top before the broker took their split. So let's say now 27% of it is gone, right?
Yeah.
And what's left, you still have to pay taxes on, and you haven't paid your business expenses, and you are a business. And I think people don't understand that. So what an agent actually takes home after paying all of those fees and paying their taxes is a lot less than what people think of when they think, oh, she just got 3% of the total purchase price for being the buyer's agent, when that's
Door
no.
opener or whatever they think.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. There was a really good post floating around about 99 things an agent does for you during a
Yeah,
transaction. I don't even remember that on Facebook.
I
That should
do.
be
Yeah.
printed out in every office, handed to your new agents. Here's the list of things you're going to do when you're going to serve a client. And
Mhm.
it is. I was reading through. It's like, God, yes. And you don't even
Yeah.
think about it. But if you would log every phone call, every minute you spend on these people, on any client, and we do it out of the joy, and we love doing our
Yeah.
jobs, and that's why we do it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. But I could definitely put if I would sit down and put all the numbers together, an hour of how much time I spent working and educating myself to get to the point where I could do the things, like an attorney. An attorney reads a contract, 0.2 hour printing, 0.2 hour, having my secretary bring the paperwork from the printer to me, 0.2 hour me, doing this. We could do that as an agent if we would sit down and, hey, by the way, and I saw a good reel about this. So $50 an hour? Yeah, $50 an hour. And it was so funny. Like the guy, so your bill is $25,000. Oh, you remember that 45-minute conversation we had at 10 p.m.? I'm charging times and a half for that, because it's 10 p.m. And it was about your kitty cat. Or do you remember, what I did for you over there? You asked me to get you coffee too for the showing because you couldn't stop at Starbucks. So I had to stop at Starbucks. Oh, that's time. And, it's just things that we do for our clients that they don't really figure out as an appreciation. They think it's like, hey, that I deserve that because he's going to get paid a lot of money. But as you said, besides all the expenses, I know that I have a great split with my broker, but when I was with a different brokerage and it was an 80-20, I know that after taxes and paying my broker, I took home about half the commission. And then to get to that client, which I explained to a lot of my clients, it's like that phone call you made through Zillow to me to get to me, that costs me $500 every single time.
Yep.
And guess what? That $500, I get 10 calls and only one closing out of the 10 calls. So that's $5,000. So you are a $5,000 expense basically on my account if I look at it that way,
Well, and there's all, like you said, there's all of the little things like, we had a client interested in a home that was supposed to have had a new roof, but when you looked on the county's permit website, there was no permit pulled. But the seller kept saying there was. So that's me going down to the county office to have them look up the permit so that I can make sure whether or not one was actually filed. Right?
And that's knowledge that most people don't even know how to do stuff like that. How did you know? Like, I know things because I learned this. I've been in this industry for so long that I have the experience, and that's what you're really actually paying for. It's not me opening a door for you and writing a contract. Really, like I can have my assistant write up a contract. To be honest with you,
it's all the other little things that we know how to do. Like if your property is on a septic system and not public sewer, and nobody seems to know where that septic system is, who's going to be the one to go down to the county and pull the permit and find out what the original plan was and what the location is?
Yeah.
That's going to be your agent. At least it will be if they're doing their job, right?
Well,
so,
or a phone call for the agent, but yes, calling the city, finding out information, all that stuff. And talking about this, I just remembered a lady that I was working with recently, and she was a referral from a really good friend of mine, and she refused to sign the exclusive after I sent it over to her. It's like, look, if you want me to do some more work for you, I threw in, like, I was on vacation in July. She asked me to take pictures of a property on the inside and outside because it wasn't enough on the MLS. And I had one of my agent friends drive over there, take the pictures, send me the pictures, upload it into Drive. I sent it to her. I did things like this for her. And then I was like, okay, now that we're getting down to the strings here and you want to start making offers on things, here's the exclusive. And this is the reason why. And I explained to her everything. I said, I am not willing to do any more work really until at least this is signed, because I've done, until that point, it cost me about $800 or $900 to pay the agent to do the things and all the other things. It's like, so far, out of my goodness of my heart, I spent this, which she didn't sign it. Guess what? She didn't sign it. She said, I refuse to sign it. And I'm like, okay. So people like that upset me so much that I've done so much effort. I put so much effort into it, but she's been, I got told by my friend who referred her to me. She's from New Jersey, and her agent up in New Jersey is bending over backwards and does everything for her without, I'm guessing now she probably has written agreements, but before she did it without any written agreements.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not that time anymore. We need a written agreement.
No,
And I told her, look,
it's not.
you could still buy your house in Jersey with your Jersey agent, your Miami homes with your Miami agent.
Mhm.
This exclusive is only for my county, Lucia County. And that's it. You know, I'm not going to go out of my area to sell you houses in Miami. I'm not going to do that. It's a 3.5 hour drive. I'm not going to do that.
No,
So, you know, like, why would? So, and she still, I was like, okay, so that's it. We hung up on each other, and I didn't even try to contact her after that. I said this was an utter waste of time, and I think we deserve better treatment.
we do. I mean, and the conversation needs to be had that, I mean, I don't know anybody that is okay with working for free, right?
Yeah, correct.
And we work very hard. So why would you not be willing to pay for those services, right?
You know how many times I got told this year, and this is why I didn't get any leads out of my marketing, is like, well, I'm not used to paying for buyer's agents. Okay, then you can go and try to do it on your own. You know, but I always say this too. Yes, we are signing an agreement. It's going to have a number on it, and that's going to be a commission, that's going to be owed to me. But 90 to almost 99% of the time, I'm capable of negotiating a deal with the sellers to pay for at least a portion or all of that.
It's literally what we get paid to do, to negotiate and navigate the transaction for you.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
and there is yet to be, since the NAR settlement, and we knew it was coming, so we were already changing practices, right? But I have yet to not have a seller agree to pay a commission for one of my buyers.
It has not
It,
happened
it
once.
may happen at some point, but
Well, if it's a seller's
I'm
market,
always,
I can see
and I
that.
make it very clear when we're having that discussion about signing the buyer's agreement. Yes, you're signing this and you're understanding how I get paid, but part of that is me letting you know I am always going to ask the seller to pay that. And if they don't, here's how it will work. But
Correct.
I have not to date had a seller not agree to pay it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only time if we're going to run into it in the near future or far future is if we have a seller's market like we had during the COVID times, where it was 5 person bidding on one house. So it would be like, why would I pay commissions when there's 5 buyers and 5 offers on my house? Like if I would be a seller at that point, I would be like, I don't want to pay that. Let them pay their agents and give me a good offer. Like I don't want to pay their agents. I want to get my maximum net out of the home. That's the only time when this is going to happen. As long as we have a buyer's market, which we have right now, pretty much a stable market, it's going to be like people want to sell their houses. They're used to seeing houses fly off the shelf in like 2 weeks to a month. And now we're sitting on market for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, some instances a year again,
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, I think we've overpriced our home and we should offer compensation to the other side because this is obviously not working. We're like not in that market anymore. This is the thing. The public always catches up so much later to what's happening in any industry, not just our industry, in any industry. They're catching up so much later. I think that the implementation of the NAR settlement and the buyer's agent agreements and the no commissions offered on the MLS, it's going to take at least a year and a half for people to realize that we're in a different environment now. And you're going to sign an exclusive, you want it or not, if you want a realtor as your agent. If you could hire a real estate agent that's not part of the boards, doesn't follow code of ethics.
Well, I have had people ask me though, okay, well, what if I don't want to pay a buyer's agent commission? Can't I just pay an attorney to write the offer for me. And yeah, you can. They're going to charge you a lot of money to write the contract. They're also not going to arrange your inspections for you, and they're certainly not going to show up at those inspections for you. And there's about 97 other things that they're not going to do for you.
Yeah.
And so it's an option, but I wouldn't recommend doing it.
I always, this is what we got taught in the beginning is because New Yorkers love to ask about attorneys. We get a lot of New Yorkers because they're an attorney state. It's like, hey, do I need an attorney for this? I said, not really, but if you really are, you feel the need to hire one, you can hire one to look through the paperwork and follow through the transaction. I can still do the transaction for you as your agent. You could pay it for an attorney too to review documents. It's going to put a delay to the transaction, and maybe the other side will not accept their offer because we're putting down that attorney has to review all documents. It's something that you put into your offer, like attorney review, or it's an addendum, and if you want to make a strong offer, you might not want to do that, or you should have one on call that could take a look at the document as soon as I write it up. They look at it, they send it back to me, or they okay it, then I send it in. And I'm not talking days, I'm talking 20 to 30 minutes or an hour before we submit.
They're going to drop everything and look at this so you can get it done. Yeah.
So you got to pay an attorney an extra, retainer or whatever to do that. No? If I would be an attorney, I'd be like, hey, if you're making an offer on a Sunday, I don't work on Sundays, buddy, but I'll look at your offer if you pay me $2,000 of retainer, and I'll take a look at that offer on Sunday or whatever,
Yeah.
It's just, I think that attorneys are good and bad in a lot of ways. Great attorneys, love you guys, but bad attorneys, look at what they did with our industry. I think this is a mess. I think they took away a lot of opportunity from a lot of people to buy and purchase homes. And I'm talking about first-time home buyers, low budgets, that are looking at homes that possibly are getting multiple offers. And those those sellers might not be offering commissions because they're getting multiple, especially in your area in California. California, you guys are hot all the time. Like a first-time home buyer home is $500,000, or I think, isn't it? Like, it's not cheap over there.
It depends on what area of California you're in. Like, we just helped some, because we both grew up in San Diego, so we know the area well. We just helped some first-time home buyers close on their home there in San Diego in March, and that was a $999,000 purchase for a starter home
buyer. Starter home. So a starter home in our area, 250, 300, but still 250, 300, you could get 2 to 3 offers on that house because it's a first-time home. As you said, millennials are coming out, and baby boomers are downsizing. So you're getting the two colliding in that category of 3-bed, 2-bath, smaller home, etc., starter home or downsizing. And guess what? You got a first-time home buyer that has to come up now with not just, let's say, 3.5 down plus 3.5 for closing costs, but money for their agent.
Mm-hmm.
So what did the attorneys do for us, or for our wonderful people out there? You're cutting their legs out from underneath them. But
that's crazy. A conversation that can be had with sellers as well when you're taking listings, right? To consider whether or not they're willing to pay a buyer's agent, because they could potentially be shutting out a large portion of the market by not being willing to do that.
I totally agree with you. And I think I mentioned that too. I was saying that a first-time home buyer that's going up against 2 other offers, let's say a conventional and a cash offer, cash guy says, hey, I can pay my agent,
Yep.
First-time home buyer says, I can't really afford my agent. And then the seller says, well, I have 3 offers. I am not paying an agent.
Well, yeah, if you got an offer on the table, somebody's willing to pay their own, that's more money in your pocket, right? So
Exactly. So that's the point what I'm trying to make.
It works both ways, and they kind of cut off their nose to spite their face by doing this to us, I think.
Oh, you're going to save a lot of money as a seller because you don't have to pay double the commission. But then again, you get a first-time home buyer that can't afford a house anymore or can't afford representation. They might be able to afford a house, but they're going up against writing their own offers because they can't afford, if they can't afford an agent, they probably can't afford an attorney to write their offer. And now and the attorney's not going to negotiate on their part. They're just going to write an offer and send it over. They're not going to tell you
Exactly.
how to negotiate that deal.
Exactly.
Not what they're doing for you. They're filling out an offer and sending it in. So at this point, you got your, and I was really worried about the veterans too, because veterans are not supposed to pay anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so how are they going to figure this out? Like, how are veterans going to get representation? I think they figured it out somehow that they can make
Yeah.
something, but
I know they've done some things to kind of make that a little easier for them, but you're right. That was one of my, I mean, I'm a proud Navy brat. In fact, I was born overseas because my dad was stationed overseas. So, and both of my sons served in the military. All of my uncles did. So that was one of my first thoughts. Well, how is that supposed to work? Because they're not able to pay for certain things at closing.
yeah,
Um, it's created a lot of interesting scenarios, like up.
it's okay.
Like, what if a buyer doesn't want to have an agent, but as the listing agent, that you then have to be really careful and clear about, this is not a dual agency. I'm not representing both of you. There's certain things that I can do and certain things that I cannot do because I don't represent you. And that kind of leaves them on their own to sort of figure out how to, like, I can't tell you how to fill out that paperwork or what you should put on it. I can provide you with the form, but it makes a difference. So you're shutting out, whether you're a buyer or a seller, you're shutting out certain options for people, and then you're creating scenarios that are a disadvantage for certain people as well.
And most of those certain people that we're talking about are disadvantaged are the ones that we should be taking care of the most.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Krimchak, or whatever his name is, for starting this lawsuit and making $500 million that you had a 30% commission on, by the way, that wasn't really negotiated prior. So I don't know about price fixing, but I think that's price fixing.
Yeah.
Chris Chak, or whatever his name is. Like, I'm sorry, my friend, but you are the worst example for this lawsuit. And I think you should sue yourself at the end of the day. It's just a long conversation. I feel I have mixed emotions about the whole thing. Um, I Since we're good agents, we'll get through this and we know how to
Yeah.
represent ourselves. I'm worried about, the sellers and the buyers, or mostly the buyers in this case, that can't afford good representation to
Yeah.
get the deal done, and
Exactly.
if there comes, and they will come another seller's market, they'll be in trouble, and
Yeah.
that's where I see a lot more lawsuits happening.
Yeah.
They're going to be
You're right.
flying around. So what was created here is an opportunity for the attorneys to make more money in lawsuits for
Yeah.
themselves.
100%. Yeah.
Like, great, you created another aspect of your business to make more money out in your business,
Yeah.
which totally defeats the purpose of what you said that you're doing this for. You're trying to save money for the people, whatever. I don't think people notice that. Like we don't notice what you're trying to do.
I think giving the illusion that you're saving people money,
Is not actually doing it.
it's a slippery slope to try and present that to people. Because right now, for example, you might, as a seller, be under the impression that by not wanting to pay an agent, you are saving yourself some money. But you've excluded a bunch of people at that point. They'll no longer be able to look at your house because they can't afford to pay their own agent. And think about where the money came from in the first place. It always came from the buyer. The seller wouldn't have had the money to pay any agent at all if the buyer weren't buying the home and paying more for it than the seller paid when they bought it,
And
right?
then, did the previous seller pay for your agent when you bought the home? Isn't that a good question out there now? Like, hey, and I don't want to get into legalities. I think we should get another conversation, because this is a topic I think we could talk about
Yeah,
for
we could. Yeah,
hours and hours,
absolutely.
And I know you got to get out and on your way to the chamber.
Yeah.
You have something to run. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Diane.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we could do this more often. And, I'm here in Florida. If you have anybody looking close to Orlando or northeast of Orlando, East Coast,
Absolutely. I'll reach
I'm
out.
here for you guys. If I have anybody going back that way, towards a good small town where they would love and enjoy living, I will definitely send them your way.
Thank you so much. We'd appreciate it.
Any plugs you would like to do, anywhere people can find you? I know you have an Instagram, you have a Facebook account, or anything else that you'd like to share with
So
people?
we do have a Facebook account at KHT Realty. We also have Instagram, KHT Realty. I'm shamelessly going to plug my little Scotties because I'm a dog lover. So you can also check them out at My Three Scots on Instagram. And of course, the Twain Harte Area Chamber of Commerce also has Facebook and a website. Our website is kht-realty.com, and you can always find us there as well. We'll be happy to help you any way that we can.
Thank you very much. Everybody check them out. They're awesome people. It was a great conversation, and I hope to see you again soon.
Definitely. Let's do it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.